I was really inspired by a beautiful friend I was speaking to yesterday. And one of the things I share with that beautiful friend is we happen to have chronic conditions or chronic pain, maybe not pain, chronic physical limitations that are pretty visible and more apparent to others. Hers more so because of how time passes. It's like more as time passes, it develops further. Mine is because I've had it all my life, like since birth, and through that, it has evolved what I can and can't do, how I use my body, what maybe is more important to me because of how I feel, how my feelings drive a lot of what I'm driven to do, how I'm actually particularly nitpicky if I feel like there's time wasted or if I did something and someone found it to not be useful simply because it takes a lot of energy sometimes to do simple things like get dressed, take shower, make food, drink water, stand up, right? So I was encouraged by her to talk about what I've noticed in my body and how I feel I've been able to continue to cultivate life despite quote unquote appearance of limitation. I also want to preemptively say I didn't learn this stuff alone. I happen to be surrounded by powerful spiritual, psychological, and deeply encouraging mentors, guides around me, people I've intentionally even sought out to deepen my understanding of depth and the ability to carry more life. Um, as I think the assumption is if one appears physically disabled or ill or limited, that one is to feel sorry for them because of maybe limitations of life, of liveness, life force. And I came on the chat to tell otherwise that life force can be found in a lot of surprising ways, ways that we assume may not be there, but are very there full force. Um, this assumption that only liveliness and powerful life force comes from the most athletic or um, economically driven or whoever grinds the hardest, especially physically. And I've basically coming on the chat to dispute it that life force takes on all shapes because it's energy. And as we know, especially those who are physicists or engineers or scientists, as well as energy practitioners, spiritual guides, light workers, know that energy can show up in all kinds of formats and forces, and that it is somewhat ableist to assume that life force can only show up in one physical body manner. Um, so I just came on the chat to talk about what has given me aliveness, what has given me life, especially because my body doesn't work like it did 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago. And coming from someone where physical capability wasn't always in the check. Um, I've had to deal with chronic pain. Uh, I've had to, all my life, I've had to deal with, yes, being able to walk is a big deal. There are people with disabilities that are not able to walk, and they are still a big deal. And there's a lot of folks with such like physically impeding disabilities that it requires a lot of care from their caregivers from even time of birth. And they still have an immense amount of power and life force. And they may have a perspective, a vantage point that we frequently don't care to ask or see from because we assume that life force isn't there when there's probably a deeper, more profound perspective from them, and not from the, oh, look at them go perspective. No, because that's assuming that their standpoint, their vantage point is lesser, and that's not true. Just because someone requires caregiving doesn't make them lesser. It means more care needs to be provided that way. And in our society, we could probably do a little bit better about setting up mechanisms for easier and better care for all, especially people who need more care. Um, it is also really loud how it's like, oh, the hottest people are the least amount of maintenance. But then you look at any movie star or music artist and know they are surrounded by a ton of people, a ton of people to provide their beauty, their nutrition, their care, their movement, their support, anything. Um, it's actually a really interesting contradiction, right? The most powerful people sometimes is made powerful by a pyramid of people under them. But then people are saying, oh, I pulled myself up by my own bootstraps, kind of thing. And not here to negate anyone's experience if that's their perspective. But I even, and I'm going on this tangent for a reason, I even look around because I notice even in my life, I have set myself up to have a lot more care, not necessarily like in-house caregivers, even though that would be nice. I'm not even gonna hold you. But instead, the fact that I have my food delivered to me with ease. I have people support me in cleaning my apartment who are doing spiritual and powerful work and are some of the best people I've been surrounded by. And they have other parts of their lives that are infinitely more important than cleaning my apartment. So that also, like, I notice it's very easy for me to work because I'm really grateful of how my work setup is. And that even if I want to get in my car, someone had to make that car and drive to pick up food, and someone had to make that food, or go buy some art supply or something. Someone had to man that store and make that art supply. So, excuse me. All this to say, even the energy of care and convenience did have a cost for all of us, no matter the physical ability. So to say someone needing more care makes them a lesser being is really confusing because we set ourselves up to receive immense amount of care. Ask any husband who thinks their wife is there to make their life easier. Just saying. So all of this to say, going back to like life force, we all have it. We just have it in our way. And I wanted to do this first video to essentially talk about like how the messaging, especially to us beauties with disabilities, is that because we require more care, that we should be, I don't know, less visible, more ignored, assuming that our lives are over because we require more physical care, or assuming that we're not in a space of attracted beings or being an attractive and loving being and being able to provide love and care to others is a mistake to assume, honestly. Um, I'm grateful to know that I'm surrounded by people who know how much I love them. And if they don't, they need to tell me so I could just let them know how much I love them. And will root for them to the ends of the earth and want them to have their favorite and best things and know that they are lights in my life. And through them, I am learning I'm lights in their life too, even though they may have to show up for me more physically. And that is something I want to bring to the chat. Gifts don't have to always be three dimensional. They could be five dimensional. They could be four dimensional. They could be simply because you are in the room smiling at them. It could be as simple as you're speaking life into them. Because even if the only thing that works well is my voice, that is still something that works well. And I want to use it. I want to use it to let people know not only that I love them and that their lives are not negligible and that they bring so much light to my life. I also love knowing that it's not in my doing that I am loved, it is in my being, who I am being. And I notice days when I show up with more congruence and authenticity of myself, when I feel more present and anchored and less worried or dismissive of myself or catastrophic about myself. Um, it's easier for me to pour that love into other people and pour that love into myself. But even if I show up feeling anxious, catastrophic, unwanted, unloved, confused, I'm still lovable because love is, if the above is the below, if the above, spirit, God, force, source, universe is below us, our hearts, our souls, our spirits, our minds, if it is of the same stuff, that means I don't have to do anything and shouldn't have to do anything to know the love that surrounds me because love is energy. And I'm coming on the chat to let you know that it is not what you do, it is who you are, especially when you are being your most delectable, loving, connected, grounded, authentic self. There's such a beauty that shines through, even then, especially then. And because of that, that's easily lovable. Just sit in the, listen, I wish we did more of this. I wish more people just sat in the room and just stared at each other. Because if I could sit in the room with my favorite people and just stare at them, oof, sometimes it's overwhelming how much love I have for them. It like overpours. Some friends have been like, yo, I need you to chill. Like, you be pouring a lot of this love. It's making me uncomfortable. And I'm like, my bad. Can't help it. It just comes out like that. But I do love them very much. So, hey, disability baddies. Um, they're part of the many baddie cohorts around the world, especially my light worker baddies, my energy baddies. Um, know you're already loved. And it's not because you're a baddie, it's because you're a being. Um, and simply because you're a being, that means you deserve your favorite care, support. You deserve your needs being met. You're not a burden. You're just a person with needs like every other person. And your needs just manifest a little differently than others. Or your needs are not the most immediately thought about. So you have to be brave enough to speak up and say it because a lot of people just don't know. Um, May the universe bring you everything you need, desire, and more. And know that you are loved by me, by the people around you. Um, know you're powerful because energy is powerful, not physical capability, not sensory capability, not cognitive and processing capability. but just energy is powerful. We've seen superhero comics, movies. It's very interesting. It's the supernatural humans that have the energy that shoots out of them. Not always the one who could throw the biggest rock, but shout out to the Hulk too, Mark Ruffalo. Um, but yeah, that's it. That is all. Thank you for listening to my Threadworthi thoughts. And yeah, um, I am grateful. I'm really grateful that folks took the time to listen, and I hope you're encouraged by it. I will be doing something like this again because I realize I'm obsessed with recording on Substack like this. So please subscribe for more. I would love to have more people in the circle. Um, Shout out to y'all. Bye.